As part of mine and Jammer's short stint at the Capcom offices with the full version of Street Fighter 6, we were able to dedicate 15 minutes of our time to Blanka, with our main focus being on his new move, the Blanka-chan bomb. Obviously, with this sort of time playing him, nothing I say here is set in stone, it's just a very quick impression. But hopefully, if you're a Blanka main, it at least gives you something to start theory crafting with. As you've probably seen, this move has 3 stocks. These stocks recharge between rounds, however there is nothing you can do outside of that to regain dulls. Once they're gone, and you'll have to wait. The input is done by pressing down down and then a punch. It has 3 strengths as you'd expect, and these dictate how far you throw the dull, but be careful. Once it's off screen, it is gone, similar to a projectile, regardless of if the dull is activated or not. Speaking of which, this special does not have any kind of hitbox attached to it until it's activated. It will simply just go through the opponent. This activation is done by electrifying the dull itself. There are a couple of ways to do it, but without the use of meter, there is one, which is of course his electricity. The strength of the electric does not seem to affect the speed or number of hits the dull has, unless you spend drive meter. If you use this for EX electric, it will result in the dull hopping up and down before running across the screen, essentially giving you a delayed attack and a wall to temporarily work with. Where things start to get interesting is when you spend 2 bars on his install. This electrifies all of his special attacks, meaning you can trigger the dull with things like Blanka balls, which can be cancelled into themselves, giving you the opportunity to set up cross-ups in neutral. On top of this, his other electrified supers trigger them too, which might lead to some great safe reversals or possibly even combos. Unfortunately, this was an aspect of the move we weren't really able to explore within the time constraints, but it does seem promising. I think for me, this move felt a bit more like a win neutral tool rather than a setup tool, but I could be totally wrong. A lot of Blanka's attacks push the opponent full screen, allowing for a dull setup safely, and considering the dull has a huge 50 frames of startup, outside of these hits it seemed pretty difficult to get it on the screen without being punished. Once again, we could have totally missed whatever attack it is he needs to get this move ready for a setup, but this is my understanding. Even with this purpose in mind, it does seem like a great tool, similar to say Abigail's tire. Once it's on screen, the opponent has to deal with it, forcing them to use risky tools like a parry to negate its effects, at which time you're probably in range for a throw or even a high-low with his headbutt. The last thing I'd like to note is that this move seems to be a projectile. Although we couldn't find any move that would actually hit it, we were able to go through it with Manon's spin. The Blanka-chan bomb looks really interesting to me. It's certainly a good way to translate Blanka into a system where a lot of his normal mix is going to be negated by parry. We might see in the long run that, similar to Kimberly, he has terrifying setups, but from what we experienced, it seemed to be a way for him to convert long-range knockbacks into some fantastic pressure that I can't wait for you Blanka mains to expand upon. I'd like to say thank you again to Capcom for having me in the office. If you like this video, go check out mine and Jammer's more extensive dive into Manon, where we tried to dissect her game plan with a little bit more time.